Before busing, there was a gap between education of whites and blacks, but also the quality of schools differed in vast amounts, as is obvious to Jonathan Coswell's quote. The room in which I taught my fourth grade was not a room at all, but the corner of an auditorium. The first time I approached the corner, I noticed only a huge torn stage curtain, a couple of broken windows, a badly listening blackboard, and about 35 bewildered looking children, most of them who are Negro.
Before busing, all schools were segregated. The white and black people mostly stayed in their own neighborhoods. The schools were unequal. When compared to a white school, schools that were mostly made of black students had 10% less textbooks, 19% less per library and other reference books, and 27% less per student health care. The school system spent 29% more on students in more white schools than black schools.
Judge Garrity was not popular during his ruling. He developed a busing plan that would help enforce a state racial imbalance law, which balanced schools according to race.
What was the regular day?
The regular day was starting at 8 o'clock till 2:30, and there was no science teacher. The teacher taught everything in the classroom. There was no science teacher. There was a gym teacher, and that was about all we had. We had math 5 times a week. For 45 minutes, we had English and reading were separate subjects, science, which the teacher taught, and social studies, and religion.
Were there any issues that happened in school about racism
During the busing,
There were issues, especially with people from the Alston-Brighton area, because they wanted their children to go, the ones who weren't in Catholic schools or private schools, wanted their children to go to the local schools. The Mary Lyons, the Garfield, the Gardner, the Hamilton, and that was going to stop there when you bused either to Roxbury, Mattapan, and Dorchester.
I was in for really the shock of my life. The teachers there were, I have to say, for a newcomer coming in, not helpful. They didn't want to be there because the busing situation was so bad. The whole city was against it. Judge Garrity, who demanded it, was very unpopular. And I think for good reasons, because the people of Boston thought that the children that lived in the neighborhood should be able to go to a good school within their neighborhood. And he was forcing them to travel across the city to neighborhoods that they weren't aware of, and they weren't familiar with, and they weren't comfortable in.
Busing integrated schools, age, ethnic groups, and minorities into a larger community. Research by Eric Hanushek, John Kane, and Stephen Rickvin says that the success of students is determined by the other students in the schools. The impact of racial integration has helped make students into high achievers.
The main goal of desegregation in the form of busing was to improve academic performance of minority students. Although it failed, it had a greater impact on American education. It helps develop themselves for a better chance to have no competition. Also, communities were more united.